So recently, the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey movie officially came out, and this had a lot of hype because of the trailer and the whole premise of the movie that Winnie the Pooh and the rest of the animals are on a killing spree, and we want to know why. And the movie started off pretty well because the rest of the movie was 100% bad. This movie was just 100% bad to the point where people was just like either dumbfounded or they were just laughing of just like how bad the acting was, how bad the logic was. And this movie was had so much promising that they could have went the other way, but they decided not to. And you could just tell that they had a great idea, but the execution was poor. And it's not just that the execution was poor, it was just that the fact that this was a typical slasher generic movie. After last year, where we got so many great horror movies, that you will think that the horror genre will step up their game a lot more and take it to the next level. But with this movie, it seems very lazy because of the fact that it is that they went to the generic horror tropes that is very outdated. And honestly, this movie, like I said, even though this movie was bad, it did have some positive, which was the beginning part of the movie, which it shows the animation of the story of how Winnie the Pooh and the rest of the gang turned evil. And also as well, the blood, they weren't shy with the blood. They were really went full on with the blood. And also as well, there was certain kills that was pretty good, but like one of them was like very, very top of the notch when one of the girls was actually impaled with her mouth open with a machete, which was great. I actually did like that kill. But other than that, the characters you don't really care for unless like Christopher, because they make sure that you care for Christopher. And I knew they was trying to make you care for the main girl because they gave her a lot of story about how she had this stalker and the stalker broke into her home and tried to undress her, which was kind of funny because the stalker kind of looks like the guy in the gas station that she ran into when she was trying to get gas before she went to the cabin with her friends, because it was a little bit of a getaway to forget about the stalker. And one of her friends actually went to the route by herself. And was one of the unnecessary scenes because, Winnie the Pooh was able to get one of the friends. And apparently he just ripped off her shirt and put her into like this meat grinder or like this machine that just tore her into bits. And it was just like, really, was that just really unnecessary? Why you have to rip off her shirt? Like, you could have just hook her into like the meat grinder or shredder or whatever you call that machine. But other than that, like, yeah, so, but any other way, you don't really care for the other characters, even the main girl, because the other characters, like, one was an influencer and they didn't go really in depth with that. The other ones were two couples and they just went, like, if you blinked, their story was just done. And like certain deaths, like they could have literally escaped. They literally could have escaped. And it was just mind blowing, like how like dumb and how much they made these characters pathetic. And it's not just the fact that they had bad acting, but it's just like the logic actually just left the movie. It was just like, okay, as soon as they were done with telling the origin story, it was just like logic was gone. And honestly, I know this movie was cheap, but come on, man. Having the stalker and having the gas station guy look the same was just very weird. And then including towards the end of the movie, how like one of the bodies was like catching on fire. You can actually see some of like, like how the doll is, like some of like the cotton from the doll is actually out of like the body while it's burning. Like I was just like, come on, guys, like really, really. But one of the logic that actually did piss me off about this movie, I mean, this movie is funny. It's like a bad movie that is funny, but like when you like really wanted to watch this with the hype and that you had to spend money to actually watch it because literally they're acting for like $20 or $15 or whatever movie theater that you go to, how much, because you do have to pay. It doesn't matter if you're an AMC member or a Regal member, you have to pay the full price, which was like $20 or $15, which I was pissed. But anyways, one of the logic and one of the scenes was that the influence girl, how she was in the hot tub and she's taking selfies of herself. And then she sees Winnie the Pooh is like kind of like far in the distance. So instead of like running back into the house, telling her friends, like, hey, like there's this creature or this guy, he's here in the woods and he's creepy. We should go ahead and protect ourselves because they're the only people that they know that are in the woods. Instead of doing that, instead of like taking safety precautions, no, she just says, hello, hello. All right, get away, you freak. And then just continuously laying down into the hot tub, just vibing. And I was just like, you know what? You deserve to die. And how her death was just 100% was just kind of like satisfying because it's just the stupidityness of how she was, because she wasn't really concerned for her safety. And I know you wanted to tell her like how she's just very narcissistic of herself, but come on, man, like really, really realistically, if you and your friends are the only people are in the actual woods, women, and you see a guy who is taller and actually is just like in this hybrid animal form, you would have run through the hills. Like you would have run through that house, but they didn't. And honestly, like I said, most of the deaths was easily could have been avoided, but it was just 100% just getting worse and worse. And there was one scene that they was trying to like run over. No, actually, no, not run over. There actually was trying to drive away, and Winnie the Pooh was on top of the car. So the girl hit the brakes, and you'll think Winnie the Pooh will fly away, which he did. But the ending of that sequence was like, it seems as if that they crashed into a tree because all of a sudden when she hit the brakes, like out of nowhere, it seems like the car just stopped and it seems like it hit something. And because she was all like knock unconscious and she was all bloody, like she ran through a wall or a tree. And let me tell you, one of the scenes that actually really was just like, wait, what? Because if we go by the movie's logic, then once they started going on a killing spree, they decided that they are not going to go on ahead and start talking. So they decided to just go silent at this moment. They're not going to do any trace of their human abilities or anything like that, right? So there was one scene where they kidnapped the lady and they kind of like messed up her face. And she's telling the girls the whole story about them, like their name and everything. And it's like, wait a minute, how the hell do she knows about their names and everything else and how she's able to tell them the story? Wouldn't it be Christopher, the one who is actually telling them the animals' names and their whole story? But for some odd reason, this dumb lady, was able enough to go on ahead and actually give them this information to the girls. And the reason why I say she was dumb, because her death was dumb as well, because she wanted revenge for the fact that they messed up her face and they killed her husband. And so she took the gun, because they had a gun, and shot one bullet to try to get the attention of the animals. And actually, she was trying to point the gun at Piglet, but there was no bullets, and she actually just dies. Like, that's why I was just saying that she was dumb, because she wasted bullets. But other than that, like, yeah, so apparently there's going to be a sequel. And it was really funny because when it says, Winnie the Pooh will be back or will return, everyone was like, what? And everyone's just started dying laughing, because at this point, this is a bad movie. It's a fun, bad movie. I know I sound kind of like a little bit angry or a little bit animated of like rage of how like bad this movie is, but this movie is something like you will watch with your friends, and your friends will probably be mad at you, and you just laughing at them, getting them, seeing them mad is just one of the aspects of like how this movie is. But other than that, yeah, so part two is about to come or is in development, and it's going to be focusing on Winnie and Owl and Rabbit because Piglet died. And that's just pretty much it. So let me know down in the comment section how you guys feel about this movie. Let me know your thought process and let me know how you guys feel about this movie. Did you guys watch it? Did you guys didn't? Did you guys think this movie was going to be fun? Did you guys think this movie was going to be stupid? Do you guys feel like this movie was going to be a waste of time? Just let me know down in the comment section because this movie is an hour and 42 minutes and my rating for this movie is a 3 out of 10. That's my rating. Hope you guys have a wonderful day and be decent. Bye.